So what you gonna do, brother? We about to run wild with a style like no other. So somebody call Brodus Clay mother and tell her Richard runs of the men like Ed Lover and Doc Dre. What Scott say, what they hang on every word like it's something that the Rock say. No JR, but they talking wrestling. We bring the noise with the boys, so we Dalton Castling. So masculine, oozing machismo, mutton chop shop, Gran Turismo. No free throws, snarl hoops and heels. It's D-Bras retirement, give you the super feels. Straight shoot, it's real. Drop a pipe bomb, get ready to bull like the Rock's right arm. So stay calm, tranquilo, I'll go Naito and give him Destino. And we know that you chumps ain't ready for the heartbreak runs and the Cuban Genetti. They drop it heavy, tag team it like Teddy. Long go strong with the heat like Eddie. So steady like when Taker walk the tightrope. Spaz like Taz with the mic and a tight choke. Dirtiest player in the game with the eye poke. 1988 Macho Man on a line of coke. These other cats are a waste, they boring. Illegitimate sons like Jason Jordan. And Richard Runz never give him respect unless they going on air with a broken frickin' neck. So bounce like Papa Pump's pecs. Every time they get down, they bound to catch wreck. Y'all don't know nada. They the Okadas, you're the Washington Generals, they the Globetrotters. A whole lot of podcasts in the scene, but Richard Runz running wild is the cast of your dreams. So it seems these two is too sweet. Bullet Club pulling up with schemes to delete. So retreat, we steal, we cheat, but I never lie, I swear on these beats. And these two got some styles for you, but what you gonna do when they run wild on you?
Oh, hell yeah. It's the big dog, Rhett Titus. And you're listening to the Running Wild podcast. Because if you're trying to run wild, this is the place to do it.
Do you want to let everyone know that you get it? Do you not want to be a Melvin? Well, then listen to the Running Wild podcast. And if you don't, you know what you are.
I'm the last real man, Silas Young. And if you're any kind of man, you'll be listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Hi guys, this is Mandy Leon, and you're listening to the Running Wild podcast.
This is Sam Adonis, El Orgullo de las Chicas, the CMLL, and you are listening to the Running Wild podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of the Running Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rich. Alongside me, as always, my co-host, Runz.
Yes, sir.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We got a lot of shows to talk about. We got 2 ROH shows.
You're not going to wish yourself a happy birthday like that?
That's weird. No, I don't. I guess. Woo, I'm older. Yeah, it's the stars aligned when I was younger. This was the worst day ever because I would always be angry that Father's Day and my birthday were the same day. I'm like, what? This is bull. It's taken away from my day. And now I'm just like, please, shh, just don't say anything. I'm older. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I honestly get more hyped about like the Game of Thrones premiere, WrestleMania. WrestleMania is essentially like this is, and look,
yeah, it's your birthday.
I can stop watching like Raw and SmackDown every week, but WrestleMania, I think like that's the day that everybody knows like I'm not gonna do anything. Like I'm just gonna watch wrestling. So it's a little weird, but thank you. Yeah, so we had 2 Ring of Honor shows. They had the State of the Art. They were in San Antonio, Texas, and then in Dallas, Texas the next night. Dallas being a little bit of a... They were going head-to-head. I think they started exactly the same time as NXT Takeover. I'm blanking on the name because I always just Takeover... Where are they?
Chicago.
Chicago, right? All right, so, and then we're going to do a little bit of a preview of Money in the Bank that you guys may or may not hear. I'm obviously going to post this up right after we record, but you may hear this on Monday, so you might hear some hilarious takes on things that have already occurred. And I'll see if I can get my son in here. We made a killing last time he came and made predictions, so maybe I just need to use him as a marketing tool more often. But I don't even think he's been watching WWE, so I'm not sure if he's very interested in making a lot of predictions this time around. All right, so let's start with ROH. The first night, the State of the Art San Antonio. So just from my initial thoughts, I really looked at this weekend as a whole, and I wasn't super excited. Where for other weekends I've been more excited, and I honestly feel that I was very surprised by how good I thought that State of the Art San Antonio was.
I mean, they were solid shows, that Ring of Honor always puts on, and you got good performances out of guys that don't typically have to give those type of performances in the ring or hold their own like that. So, they were enjoyable shows for sure, but it's unfortunate, and, we're getting to see it a little bit more, how often travel issues pop up and things like that. And that really prevents Ring of Honor from, the last couple of shows from having, half of their roster or half of their main event. So it's really been unfortunate timing for them with, Best of the Super Juniors and all of this stuff going on. So they've been missing a lot of key players and, still put on enjoyable, solid shows.
Yeah, so the night starts off. You have the boys versus the Kingdom, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record with the boys. Fun team, but man, the boy one, boy two thing, and then now they're playing games with it. Like during this match, I believe, or maybe it was the second night, but Ian, he's like, oh, this is boy one because boy two's got like a little bit more blonde in his hair, and he goes, but BJ calls the boy two, boy one, and then during the match he's like, wait, I just got word from the back that this is actually boy one. I'm okay with the twin stuff. It doesn't bother me, and I know that in wrestling history there's been the executioner number one and executioner number two type thing, but I wouldn't have liked that then either. I don't like it in Ring of Honor where they had these like Panther twins Jaguar twins or something, and they were just like Jaguar twin. Literally, it was Jaguar twin 1 and Jaguar twin 2, and I'm like, I just have no time for that. Like, it just doesn't work for me. If you win, and I think that's for me the key is like if you're winning with that formula, then it's almost okay because it's almost like they're indistinguishable like parts of a winning team. I just want They have names on Twitter. Their Twitter handles actually just have their names. Like, just use their names, and I would care so much more. Much more. If it was Uso 1 and Uso 2, imagine?
Different. Well, it's Jimmy, whatever. Who cares? They're basically Uso 1 and Uso 2 because they're just the Usos. But I get what you're saying. But, it's got to come about in a way that it's not just like, oh, well, here's a new tag team of Billy and Phillip. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to just come out of anger or disrespect or something like that. So, now that they're on all of these, on-demand shows on Honor Club, and now that they're wrestling more often on their own or whatever, it's starting to get to that point where, they'll need names. But, cheeseburger is cheeseburger. So, I don't know.
All right. Literally, you have boys, Brandon. Like, that's his name. He's got a name. I don't know. And I get, but cheeseburger. Yeah, but if there was another guy who looked like Cheeseburger and he was Cheeseburger 2, I would not be very happy with that. All right. I'm going to stop complaining about this, I guess, as much as possible. So anyway, the Kingdom comprised this time of Taven and Marseglia. They win the match. As I said, I enjoy the matches of the boys. I just don't feel like they're going to win, and at the same time, I get real frustrated by the name thing. But the Kingdom comes out on top, and then, we found out at the top of the telecast, like you had mentioned, that the travel woes prevented the Briscoes from making it. So we find out that, we'll find out later on. And then Taven cuts a promo where he's like, yeah, you know what? We've saved Ring of Honor before when stuff like this goes down, and we're going to save it again because we're going to wrestle in the main event as well.
But this just makes me want Matt Taven to be the world champion.
Well...
like the fact, and then in the same promo, right, or maybe it was later on, whatever, or the next day, but he called out Castle, right, for ducking him and not being there.
Same promo. So, he hit him. He actually hit one of the boys with the bang-a-ring.
And he's presenting it, and it's the truth. Right now is he's carrying the company without Castle around. He's the guy who's wrestling twice. He's cutting the promos. He's filling in, and it's playing in perfectly to his, kind of character, not getting his title shot and all that sort of thing. But, it's working out in a way where I'm like, wow, he really is doing these things. I want to see him with a title, with something more meaningful to, continue to build this platform.
100. I mean, he's his what he's saying is almost a shoot. He's got the title from CMLL. He's 1/3 of 6-man champions. He never got his title shot. Now there are two dudes wrestling for the title that he never actually got his proper shot at, for. I mean, what the best heels, right?
Right.
They're
There's
not
a
just
bit of
evil.
truth.
Yeah, there's a bit of truth there. And I mean, what he's saying. It's amazing because it's exactly what we're seeing. So I'm really enjoying that. And then we had Gordon versus Titus. I like what I like about Rhett Titus is I like him in the dogs. Right, I find that to be funny, and when now that they've gotten to a point where it's only a little bit part of the match, like their little arguing and stuff like that, and the way that he uses Ferrara as some sort of a weapon. But when he just has a serious match, like he's just a good solid worker, And I thought this match with Gordon isn't gonna. I don't think people are gonna go crazy over this, but I had no problems with this match. I thought it was good.
No, and Rhett Titus is pretty much who I was talking about at the beginning. With guys stepping up where they don't always have to, and I've always liked Titus. I love him and Kenny King. When they were together, and he's always been an entertaining guy. And when it comes into the ring, usually he's getting beat up and coming back from it or getting busted open, etc. But this was a good, solid match. He played to the crowd well. He did a good job with Flip, and they wrestled really well in the ring. So, whereas this was a match that, what this is. So, that was enjoyable. It just, what stands out a bit to me is like, I like Rhett Titus. I enjoy what he does. However, he has a very strict ceiling in Ring of Honor, elsewhere, whatever. But that's where they need somebody that, can have that match, can be that guy that you're like, oh man, this was nice, nice opportunity for this guy. He stepped up and now they built from it, like they've been doing with Gresham. And, he wasn't available for obvious reasons. But, something like that, where they just need that up and coming guys.
Yeah, I mean, when Cabana said on commentary, something like, Rhett Titus has been in Ring of Honor for 26 years. The company's been around for 16. And, Statwife doesn't really enjoy watching all the shows. But she loved, the interludes with Cabana and Riccaboni. I mean, she just loves, because it almost
seems play off each other really well. They have it's such an easy relationship, like Riccaboni is the wrestling, that commentary guy. He's got his glasses, so people will be like, oh, he's automatically, he's that nerdy guy, and Cabana is, that just jock who's joking around all the time or whatever.
He's the best.
The dynamic, plays itself.
And I really don't think any of it, for me, I don't want to believe any other way, but I just think Cabana's literally just saying what he wants to say. Let's say, that there is stuff that, storyline stuff that he brings up, right? But there are just times where he's just legit saying what he wants to say, it feels like, and that makes it that much more enjoyable. He'll call Riccaboni out if he says something wrong, I don't know, it does feel very natural between the two of them.
Well, I agree, and I think, that's why it struggled a little bit when Riccaboni wasn't there, because Cabana does kind of just go off the hip and just talk.
When he had to be the play-by-play guy, that was...
Right. I'm sure there's notes and all that stuff, but, a lot of the times it just feels natural.
All right, and then we had a tag match, Kelly Klein and Thunder Rosa versus Sumi Sakai and Tennille Dashwood. I actually read another review where they actually like this match quite a bit. I am kind of getting sick of the tag matches. I feel like what they're doing is they bring somebody in. So it's usually 3 Women of Honor regulars and then a 4th who's not a regular, and it kind of generally shows in the matches that they're people who haven't really worked together a lot, and I think that hurts a little bit. I'd rather see a one-on-one, perhaps. I don't know how you squeeze it into the card, right? Because with the intermission and everything, the shows are going a little long, so I'm not sure if you're going to have two separate Women of Honor matches, and it's a good thing that they're getting the airtime. I'm not going to complain about that because that's something that I wanted before. But this just felt like a very meh. Who cares?
Well, I will complain about that because it's a tag match every time, and that's we've talked about it before. The Divas Revolution, it was the same thing. You're getting everyone on TV, getting their name out there, building up some characters, etc. However, every show it's Kelly Klein, Natsumi Sakai, and Tennille Dashwood in some type of tag match. Even at what was the last actual pay-per-view-ish show?
Best in the World? No.
What just took place?
The one that just took place?
There was something right before State of the Art, wasn't there? Or I don't know, whatever. But they had another tag match there, and it was like, oh, really? This was like a bigger show? I don't know.
I get it, yeah. So I didn't like the next night we ended up getting a singles match, which I actually liked, and seeing Thunder Rosa there was good. I wonder if at this point Mandy Leon is injured or something. Like, since the tournament, I don't think she's been in any matches. Like, you don't hear anything. She hasn't been in any angles, so it's weird that she hasn't appeared at all. I'm not sure if we're going to hear about that at some point going forward, but just because she's been somebody who, she's worked with most of the, women, she's worked with every person in the Women of Honor division. I mean, she would be somebody you would think you would see as part of these tag matches, and they might be a little crisper.
You would think so.
Anyway, moving along. Then you had Jay Lethal versus TK Orion, and I thought this was a really good showing for Orion. I mean, look, Lethal makes it look easy, right? But I thought he was... he dealt with... Man, I can't stand professional wrestling fans only being able to be like, this guy looks exactly like this guy. It's just like, that's enough. And the fans here started a how you doing chant, talking about him looking like Cass. And then at one point, I think Cabana made a reference. He's like, oh yeah, and his partner, he's got a good rap album or something. He's dropping some rap tracks, and I started I love that they just rolled with it, and they were fine with it. But
it's okay because he's a heel, and he's able to play off of those things. But if ever he was a babyface, or if it continues for the long haul, then it can become an issue. Like, all right, enough already. But while he's just kind of getting his feet, it's just kind of what happens. But yeah, I mean, this was a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier with an up and coming guy getting a shot. This was a good showing for Orion, and it's like you said, it's good to be in there with Lethal. He makes it look a lot easier than it is. So that's exactly what you want to see.
Then for me, maybe one of the most exciting matches. I got to see SoCal Uncensored take on Atlantis, Stuka Jr. and Guerrero Maya Jr. The
best part of this, I mean, whatever. The best part of this entire thing was when they said that we can't wait to leave San Antonio. Just ask Kawhi Leonard, who just earlier that day, kind of officially said he wanted to leave San Antonio and he wants to go to LA, where SoCal's. It was
amazing.
The perfect fit, and it worked out just brilliantly. I got a good laugh out of that one. SoCal is just awesome. I enjoy this whole, I hate this place. This place sucks. It's just good stuff.
And then I like the way it works with all three of them, right? Sky says the town sucks. Kaz, and then he does it the next night in Dallas. He's the topical one, like he brought up the Ring of Honor and the Dallas Cowboys the next night. And then, so he does the make it relevant to that town. And then Daniels is just like, all of you guys suck my balls and worship us now. I love all three parts of it. Just amazing. Just good stuff. This match, man, look, the speed that Stuka hits when he does the handspring off the ropes, the way Lethal does sets up for the lethal injection, he gets some crazy speed on that. Like he really was like buzzing around the ring. I was really liking this. Some people on Twitter, and I agreed, were saying that Atlantis was more protected by Ring of Honor in this match, so that like he didn't look bad than he is in CMLL. Like CMLL, like
well, that also is who's running the shows and who's booking
make
the
sense.
matches. And
like I was literally scared when I heard Atlantis was, and he's a legend, right? When I heard that he was announced, I went, oh no, come on, man! Like you got guys like Roosh, you got all these other dudes, young guys who can come up and are really good, right? And I get that you want to bring the legend up, but the truth is, and I'm going to ask you, you don't watch Lucha. Have you ever heard of Atlantis before?
Yeah, the Lost City.
Okay. So other than that, right? Like, but I mean, you'd kind of heard of Ultima Guerrero before?
Nope.
No. All right. So sometimes I don't even know if there's a name thing, right? So like Atlantis coming up to me is like, who other than like the small cross section
in Mexico, which is close to San Antonio and has a strong Mexican population,
then he might be.
I'm quite positive he was somewhat of something.
If you get Roosh up there, man, that it's a game changer, that guy. But anyway, I really liked this match. I thought they did a good job of protecting Atlantis. The end was a little funky with Atlantis actually getting the win. He hit like a high cross body block and then a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, which is like, it's a staple of Mexican wrestling. Like there are dudes who are just, Maya did it the next night, just like hit 3 in a row, like just whoop-boom, boom. But it was, for me, watching a Ring of Honor show, seeing a match end with a high cross body block and then a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker was a little weird. But I enjoyed. I thought that SoCal was going to work well with them. I'll talk about it later. But I actually enjoyed the 6-man tag even more the second night because there was a trio of like flips going on, or no? Stuka hit a moonsault to the outside, and this dude does this like when he does his moonsaults, he puts his. I love the way he puts his hands to like his legs, so he's like generating no like arm whatever. He just throws himself back, so he hits a crazy moonsault, but then the camera misses Guerrero Maya taking out Kaz, I think, on the other side of the ring. Like all you see is them getting up, and you hear like, "Oh, what an amazing move!" And then you don't see it, so it was like, "Oh, that kind of sucked." So it took away from the match a little bit. But generally, there are times where I feel like the use of CMLL guys isn't well done, and I thought here it worked well.
Yeah, sure. We've spent a lot of time on this first State of the Art show.
Okay, let's go through a little bit more. What did you think of Kurt Stallion versus Silas Young?
I didn't think anything of it. I
did you not catch this?
Was doing no, yeah, I
okay.
didn't really pay attention to this one. It was, just one of those things.
For me, I don't know if other people felt this way. I was super hyped to see Kurt Stallion back on Ring of Honor television. He had been involved in the Top Prospect tournament, but like I think he lost pretty early on. I thought this was a really good performance here. They had like this crazy Spanish fly flatliner type move off the top rope that he hit on Silas. Just this whole story of like basically Stallion fighting and really playing that underdog role well here. I'd like to see him come back. So again, I think an opportunity for somebody who. I think we've seen this before, like guys who are local come in and get a shot, but I feel like this might lead to a little bit more. He actually got an ovation from the crowd as he was leaving, so definitely a good one there. Then you had Bully Ray, Shane Taylor, and Punishment Martinez versus Delirious, Cheeseburger, and the Hurricane.
Yeah, this was the thing.
Yep, it happened. Martinez hit a chokeslam on Delirious for the win. All right, moving on. Then we had Cody versus Jonathan Gresham, and this was, you spoke about it at the beginning of the show, guy stepping up into a role. I really like that Cody, obviously they talked about it before, right? But it really almost felt like storyline-wise, like in the ring, the story they told was Gresham is so good that he made Cody wrestle his match. And that Cody basically had to switch what he was doing in a way to be able to win this match.
Yeah, I enjoyed this. This was again, another great example of using a guy like Gresham to, fight these main event guys and, continue to build his name and reputation. And, I'm pretty sure, at least from what I remember, obviously Jay Lethal was in a couple of other groups and things like that in Ring of Honor early, but it's very similar to what they did with him when he fought with Samoa Joe, and he continued to kind of earn that respect and that reputation as a great worker. So I'm excited to see where they continue to go with Gresham.
Yep, agreed. Then you had the main event was the Young Bucks, Adam Page and Maurice Skrull versus Matt Taven, Vinny Marseglia, and the Killer Elite Squad. I thought that Taven, Marseglia, and the Elite Squad worked well together. Considering that obviously they probably found out a little bit before the show started that the Briscoes wouldn't be able to make it there. So there are actually some things going on that worked really well. I almost spit my beer out when Page hits his moonsault and Riccaboni starts singing "I Believe I Can Fly" by what's his name, R. Kelly. Literally singing like not three verses, but at least 3 to 4 lines of it. I would ask Riccaboni not to do that again while I'm writing my review and drinking a beer, because I was laughing pretty hard. And man, I guess I don't think about it often, but Archer and Smith are so gigantic compared to the rest of the guys here. And
yeah, they're just large dudes.
It's unbelievable when you see them in the ring. I just can't believe it. And then you have the Young Bucks, which I really enjoyed. The Bucks being like, "Oh, yo, we're heavyweights now," and kind of like having that swagger and getting in their face a little bit. I thought was really good. The end came along when there was. One of the spots I thought was really funny was when Archer went to spit water in Skrull's face, and Skrull used the umbrella to block it. Stupid, but yeah, he finally used the umbrella for something that makes sense.
And Marty Skrull he's a genius.
Then Marseglia popped a balloon in Marty's ear, but he ended up catching a triple assisted rite of passage, so the Bullet Club won. And overall, to me, the show was match. The show, everything worked out better. On paper, I wouldn't have. I would have told you that this was going to be an show, and I actually thought that the work in ring and the guys like Gresham, like Titus, like the Kingdom, stepping up and really showing their importance to the company, and guys like Stallion getting a shot. This was a really fun show overall for me.
I wouldn't go as far as to say this was really fun, but it was a fun show.
All right, and then the second night we had ROH State of the Art Dallas. So I know, thanks to Ian Riccaboni for calling me out during that Lucha show, and giving me a shout out, talking about how you say tag in Spanish. So I believe you could say you could say palmada, you could say lo tocó, because
it's a lot more than tag.
Well, palmada just means like hitting with the hand, kind of, because you can say the same thing for the rough counting.
All right.
Anyway. And because Lucha rules don't dictate. And hilarious, what's funny is that just a small point. They always say that their matches being contested under Lucha rules. In CMLL, before a match, they say that it's being contested under Australian rules. So it's not even their thing. They're like, no. This is Australian rules for tag matches. So I always think that
something to call it.
I always wonder if at some point you're going to hear on an American broadcast these are being contested under Australian rules. All right.
Yeah.
So State of the Art Dallas had a little bit of a hard time here, literally starting at the same time as NXT Takeover Chicago. We spoke about this earlier, right? These shows were not in competition.
No.
That's not the goal of this. That it's not. They're not wrestling in the same area.
Ring of Honor just had a show.
They had a show. It's a house show that they're streaming. And NXT had their a major tentpole show for the year. So the show started off with Thunder Rosa versus Tennille Dashwood. I liked the one-on-one a lot more. Like as I said, I actually really like Rosa here. I wouldn't mind seeing her. I actually more than wouldn't mind seeing her. I want to see her come back to the division. She's different. She's got a different look, a different ring style that I think would actually really help the division out and kind of provide a little variety there.
Sure.
Dashwood ends up taking the win, which I assume that was going to happen. A lot of times when they bring talent like this in, it's how they're working, not that they need the win for that weekend. Then you had the boys versus the Young Bucks, and my favorite part about this match was actually Statwife looking at the screen going, wait, are we serious right here? I guess she knows about the heavyweight status of the Young Bucks, and she's like, this doesn't seem like she's like, literally, there's absolutely no chance. She goes, no chance the boys would win. And I'm like, so now I find myself, who would probably normally agree with her, I start like playing devil's advocate, and I'm like, listen, you're going to really enjoy this match because all four of these guys can really do some fun stuff, and it's going to be a really good one. And halfway through the match, she looks at me and actually said, you were right. I see what you're saying now. Like, I get it. Like, the boys aren't going to win, but this was fun. And
right, it was just the Young Bucks having a good time out there, and
acting like heavyweights, man. With Matt asking
right.
for both boys, like that extra dad strength. Like, yo, that to me may have been like if I had to take one moment from the entire weekend, I think my favorite moment is him going, come on, and like just and holding both boys. Like this dude's just, how much he can't weigh like what 30 pounds more than one of the boys. You know, the boys like, but then just acting like he's just this crazy heavyweight, like Drew McIntyre holding like two of me up in the air. Like that was to me, just an amazing little thing that they did there that kind of really really puts the shine on that heavyweight thing that they're going for. Then we had I'll just quickly.
I don't want to, interrupt. I don't want to interrupt the state of the art, but did you get to watch New Day against the Elite
on the
Street Fighter?
Yeah. That was really good, man. The habanero,
that kind of stuff. With Matt being a heavyweight and, the Bucks being heavyweights, it played out there as well, flexing their muscles and all that kind of stuff. And that was just Omega out of his mind. And that was just a lot of fun, seeing those six guys in the same room, interacting, cutting promos, just having a blast. So hopefully at some point, one way or another, we get something similar in a wrestling ring.
It would be fantastic, man. I just, it feels like this is the only way we're going to get a show off because, like, there's no way for me the Bucks should not go to,
I don't know, man. At some point, what else can the Young Bucks do on the Indies? They've done everything. They've wrestled everything. At some point, maybe they just go. Maybe it's for a run. Maybe it's for one match at Mania. Or who knows? But at some point, Triple H is going to be smart enough to say, okay, business-wise, this is a good move for however long it can be.
I mean, if they pull something off like a one-match deal, that would be unbelievable.
And I don't know, man. Just everything that they've been doing, it just makes a lot of sense for WWE to want them and for the Bucks to kind of just, okay, we've done everything else. Well, let's see what this offers. We're not going to lose anything.
The problem here is, and I get it. I don't want to even say Vince, right? Because there's the WWE has for a very long time had a philosophy that you don't acknowledge the competition, you don't give them any shine, right? Ring of Honor is not, and I mean Joe Koff says it, so I'm not even insulting Ring of Honor here. They're not in direct competition.
On commentary, they mentioned the New Day and whatever, and they were like, it's 2018.
Yeah,
we can mention WWE.
Yeah, they're not in competition. Like, there's nobody who's. I don't think there's anybody watching Ring of Honor and they hear them mention WWE and they go, "Wait, what's that thing?" And then they go back and like put WWE on instead.
On Takeover, they did the ooh, the Marty Scurll chants, and so like it's just no matter where you go, the Bullet Club is a thing. The Bucks, all of these guys are humongous. I get it that old school mentality, but it's 2018. I can watch the Young Bucks on New Japan World and pay them my $10, or I can watch the Young Bucks in WWE and pay them my $10. It just, I don't know. At some point, it's got to be beneficial for both sides to do something.
Come on. At this point in time, let's be clear. Your WWE Network money is like your Netflix money. You don't even think about it. It just gets charged to your account every month.
I'm just saying, I have many other means to watch any and every one that I want to who's not in WWE. So, like, it doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching these guys everywhere anyway. So they might as well work for you.
True. Then we ended up having a weird in-ring segment. It makes sense to me after the show. I think this morning I was thinking about it, and I'm finishing my review. And I'm looking at it and going, okay, you know what? Cody, they've got like lineage in Texas. He's a face. They kind of wanted to put Taylor over a little bit here, more as the face. So have Cody come out, do some stuff. Have Brandy say some inappropriate things about this is why we left, because of the gangsters, and just stir up the crowd a little bit, so that they'd be behind him. Although there were some times where even though I think like they were still like cheering Cody. They were telling like Taylor like they were asking him to like not wrestle that night, and they were cheering for it. But yeah, so anyway, that was that segment, and it kind of ended pretty abruptly on Taylor attacked him, and then they left. Then we had the Kingdom versus. Oh, I didn't know you wanted to.
Who did this is what I don't like. Shane Taylor is a heel sometimes. He's not a heel. Then he's babyface in some matches, and he's like. They do. There is so much gray area within Ring of Honor. It's a little too much sometimes. Like Punishment is teaming with Bully Ray and Shane Taylor, beating up 3 babyfaces the night before, and then he's a babyface the next night.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the Bully Ray factor involved on that one, so I don't really know what to say. And actually, the time that when Taylor was a face and then a heel the next night, I believe that the heel the next night was teaming with Bully Ray. So maybe there's a pattern there. We don't, who do we put him with? Let's put him with these 2 big guys. It's easy for them to be heels when they're wrestling smaller guys. I mean, the story they're telling on TV is that Taylor is trying to make money for his family. And that's why he's doing it, and there are shades of him being a face here because he's doing it for his daughter, and he doesn't want her to grow up the way he did on the mean streets of Cleveland, surrounded by violence. And that's a very easy way for him to be. And they had him on
people up.
Coleman's pulpit, and then they just kind of go back on it sometimes. So I think they just need to keep going forward. I mean, he's pretty good. I think he cuts a good in-ring promo. I think it's believable with the daughter stuff. I mean, he really does have a daughter. That's not fake, So, like, it's just really easy stuff to just kind of, like, turn up the volume on what he really is, So, I hope they go back to that and kind of stay on that track with him. You had the next match was for the ROH 6-man Tag Team Championship. And there was a part of me that was maybe CMLL takes these belts. Because Taven's got their NWA historic middleweight belt, but it was not to be. However, there were moments where I really thought it could have happened here. Again, I think Stuka Jr. is a guy who probably got me to watch Ring of Honor. I mean, CMLL more, because when he came up from CMLL, it's like, oh, this guy does some crazy stuff. I want to watch him more, and I was focusing on him in CMLL. So. He probably performed better here, I think, and got more of a pop sometimes than he does in CMLL. I really enjoyed it. The ending I thought was really cool. So Guerrero Maya Jr. goes for a Hurricanrana. Taven stops him, picks him back up, and then you can see Marseglia and this was shot so well because then Marseglia and Orion slide in from behind, run to the rope, and then hit Rockstar Supernova, which is the assisted power bomb. So I I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. I know that you've had your issues with the way the Rockstar Supernova, finisher looks, but I actually enjoyed it here. Nothing?
I don't.
I thought the mic was broken. All right.
No, I don't. I don't remember having issues with the finisher. Maybe
because the
I
way
just don't remember what it looks like, but
because it's he's holding them up for a power bomb, the guy for a power bomb, and then the other guys like run and like jump up with him and like fall back, like they jump up in the air and grab the guy who's being power bombed. So it's almost like they land the same way the guy who's being power bombed lands. Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, I really like this match. Then we had Gordon versus Lethal versus Marty Scurll, and Ring of Honor doesn't. I mean, I can't. Can you remember the last time, other than there was the Cody Lethal Daniels match at Final Battle? What? No, not Final Battle. Maybe it was maybe it was one of the War of the World shows. But it was definitely a pay-per-view type show that they had, and I thought that Cody was going to walk away, and actually Daniels retained, I believe, at that point. But they don't often do triple threat matches. They'll do the four-corner survival. They'll do like a six-way match, but they don't often do triple threats. So I actually like the way this started off, and Marty basically was like, "Hey, Flip, just let me handle this. I'm gonna take care of him, and then I'll take care of you afterwards." And Flip actually stepped out of the ring, and then so like they had a story to why guys are not involved. And I think a lot of times, like, some guy gets hit and he's out cold forever. And I thought they managed it well here. And Scurll debuted. I haven't seen this. Maybe I haven't watched New Japan as closely, but the Black Plague. It's like a reverse suplex move, and he hit it off the top rope, and then he locked on the chicken wing and walked away the winner here. Smart move. He's going to the title match, and then we get Bully Ray coming out. We know who he is. And he says he's going to beat Gordon up in Best in the World. And that was that.
Yeah, I mean, it made perfect sense for Marty to get the win here. And, it was a good, solid match. Lethal was involved, so it's, a legitimate win and all that sort of thing. So, just makes perfect sense. I'm glad to see that he got the win, and he continues to look strong.
Then we had Helms and Delirious versus The Addiction. At one point, there was a little person got involved in the match. Delirious went under the ring, and then from the other side, the little person dressed as Delirious came out. This was a comedy match. I've liked some comedy matches. I just didn't really like this one. It's your basic popcorn match, right? It's right after the intermission. If you miss this one, it doesn't really matter. And Helms gets to be victorious, and Helms looks big, by the way. That's one takeaway I had, and I don't mean like fat. I mean like he looks like pretty jacked next to some of the Ring of Honor guys. It just thinking back to me thinking him looking so small next to like The Rock, and then seeing him next to these guys, and his physique probably changed. I don't track this stuff, but he just looked pretty jacked up, and I was like, damn. I was like, Hurricane's big. Was he always that big? And then you had the Briscoes versus the Killer Elite Squad. I really like this match. It's not often that you get to see the Briscoes as kind of like the underdogs in the match, and the Killer Elite Squad are just so imposing that the Briscoes have kind of been they've really destroyed everyone in their path most of the time. Sometimes they cheat to win and everything, but you almost always feel like they're going to win. And I felt like there were times where I thought the Killer Elite Squad might actually take the titles. So I thought this was I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that, Killer Elite Squad are two of the guys that, I've kind of called them out on. Like, why aren't these guys wrestling more for Ring of Honor? It just makes sense. They have the relationship with New Japan, and, these guys are from the U.S., so they're around. You might as well. So I'm glad to see that they were on these shows. I enjoyed their work both nights. They're a cool team. I like Davey Boy Smith Jr. Hopefully at some point. I don't know what the situation is.
I don't get it,
but
man.
You gotta think that guy will be back at some point. Maybe not. But I really like him in this role and continuing to grow as a performer.
Yeah, agreed. The Briscoes ended up winning this one. Then you had Shane Taylor versus Cody. And I think because of the stuff they did earlier, it made this match work a little better. I think Cody played to Taylor's styles, and Cody's going to the title match, so Cody was never really going to lose this one. But I thought they made it a lot more enjoyable than it was for me on paper originally.
Yeah.
And then you had a Proving Ground 6-man match. So it was Silas Young, Cheeseburger, Punishment Martinez, Jonathan Gresham, Scorpio Sky, and Adam Page. So the deal here is the winner gets an immediate title shot. If Young pins a person, they are banned from earning a title shot for a year. Pretty crazy. I mean, you get 6 guys. It's kind of hard to track all the action, but the way it kind of ended off was you had Page hitting his moonsault from the top rope to the whole crowd, and he immediately jumps up, takes Martinez, and suplexes him through a table. So they're back in, and everyone's kind of got their go of it. But eventually Page hits right off passage on Cheeseburger, and it looks like he's going to win. But now Martinez comes back from the dead, comes in, and hits a curb stomp on Page, and then hits the South of Heaven chokeslam, so he earns the instant opportunity. Were you surprised by this?
No, because, prior to the match, we had talked a little bit about how this is the main event, and, a title change here would make it feel like a main event, and, maybe would be something that they needed here. I was rooting for Gresham and just in terms of the fact that, I've enjoyed the build-up with him, but the same goes for Punishment. This was a perfect time for him to get the win and be the TV champ. Yeah, he's more of not necessarily a character, but, he's a big monster. Maybe he doesn't need the belt, but in a way, he needs something to back up what he's been doing. So it'll be interesting to see if they give him a run with this or if he loses it in some type of multi-man or something like that in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, the more time away from it, the more I'm starting to see it a little bit differently. At first, I wasn't a fan because I don't think, and I said this to you last night, he's not a guy to me that needs the belt. Not needs the second, I could see him carrying the world championship because he just demolishes his way to the title, right? It's weird for me to see him with a TV title, but it'll grow on me.
I mean, he could always use it in a way to catapult him to the world title, same way that Lethal did,
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I want to see who he's going to be defending against. You and I talked before the show that Page is going to be in the G1, so you would presume that if they face off at Best in the World, they are. If it's for the title, I don't...
Yeah, I mean, you might presume that, but you never know. Page could be the TV champion in the G1. That's a big thing. Having your champion there and all that.
When does the G1 start?
July, and it ends in August.
Huh. So it's interesting because I would assume they're going to be doing a TV taping at the next day, so they could probably...
So he could still be there.
Yeah, they could probably pull it off.
They could make it work. Right, they can make it work. And even if he's not on TV or whatever the case, he's your TV champion on the G1. Most people that watch your product are following the G1 anyway, so it's not like your TV champ isn't around.
I was really expecting for Page to interfere and cost Martinez the match and heighten or add to their rivalry and Silas walk away with the title, because the only thing, it's cool to have the title switch, but then it's also like Silas has had to do this back and forth with the title with Kenny King. It's finally now settled on him. It seems like he's moving past that, and now he just drops it kind of randomly to Martinez. That's the only thing to me that kind of sucked.
Right. I mean, they've intertwined a lot of different things, and with Aries and King and all that. But, I don't know. I'm fine with this in the smaller picture. We'll see where it goes with the larger picture.
All right. So now we'll move on to CMLL Viernes. No. If you guys could see his face, it's really priceless. All right. So we're going to move on to NXT TakeOver Chicago. You had the opening was a tag team match, Roderick Strong, NXT Tag Team Championship match, sorry. The champions, Undefeated Era, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, accompanied by Adam Cole, versus Danny Burch and Oni Lorcan. Man, it's so crazy how, like, NXT can have the best tag team matches, and then those teams go to the main roster, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know, that's just the way that tag teams are presented on the main roster. That goes for New Day, the Usos, anyone. You know, they're there one week, they're not the next. But, you know, that's unfortunate. With all the time they have, they still don't have enough time. But, you know, hopefully at some point in the future that kind of changes. You know, we're seeing it a little bit more with the matches that the teams are having, but, you know, the time on TV doesn't always equate to that. So that's unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. But Undisputed Era and Burch and Lorcan this was a great match. I didn't really know what to expect from Burch and Lorcan. They're two physical guys with that British style and all that sort of thing. But, you know, it was fun to see. It was a great match. They got a standing ovation afterwards. And, you know, this is what NXT does.
Yeah, agreed. Then you had Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream. My God, I mean, what did you think about them recreating the WrestleMania 18 Hogan Rock moment?
Did they?
Like at the beginning, like there was that real palpable, like the crowd was going crazy. They had like the stare down where they stopped just looking at each other and they were like standing, like, you know, they were standing right next to each other or like across from each other, and then they were both looking at opposite sides of the arena, like just taking it in, like, and the fans are going like behind.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that, and that's, you know, it makes a lot of sense considering Ricochet is like The Rock's, you know, that's his idol, and so for Dream to be wearing the Hogan stuff, and you know, that makes perfect sense. Him wearing the Hogan stuff and doing all the poses, brilliant. However, him wearing the Prince Puma tights, my God, just what a touch! What a touch!
Can Lucha like come after them? No, it's just tights, right?
Ricochet didn't wear that, right? And they weren't exactly, you know, Prince Puma's tights. They were just designed very similar. And
amazing.
Man, just, you know, how many people know that? You know, so just what a nice subtle touch, and just, man, brilliant by Velveteen Dream. It made me, you know, just that much more into that match, and they didn't need it because, my God, you knew what this was going to be going into it, or you hoped what it was going to be going into it, and they delivered and then some. This was an amazing, amazing match. Great story told. Just, man, you really didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable. I can't even... Honestly, the words I would use here won't put it to justice. Yeah, this is a visual art form. This match, more than, you know, I mean, all of it really is, but this match is just, you have to see it.
This was the match of the night, of course.
Yeah, and Ricochet comes away the winner with the 630. That move is still ridiculous to watch. Yeah,
it's outrageous, and you know they told such a great story with kickouts and near falls, and you know it was just a really, really great match.
And then you got Shayna Baszler defending the NXT Women's Championship versus Nikki Cross. I thought this was... I never really got the feeling for me that Nikki was going to win here. This title, this opportunity, or this match. I wasn't really up for this one like I've been up for other NXT Women's matches, because I just felt like Baszler was going to retain.
Yes, however, you know, I really like Nikki Cross, and I think the story that they told was awesome. Just Nikki Cross not being afraid of Baszler and standing up to her at every step of the way, and then, you know, smiling while she was getting choked out. She's exactly what it needed to be. You know, it was perfectly done. I really like Baszler's work. I love what Nikki Cross did, and you know, it's just another stepping stone for both of them.
Agreed. Then we had a shot of Keith Lee in the crowd. One of the few things that popped my popped Stat Wife this weekend. She's like, "Oh, look, it's Keith Lee," and this is the same Keith Lee whose theme song. By the way, please God, let
that's not gonna happen.
Please use that theme song.
It'll be something similar.
Oh man, I remember when listen. The reason she likes Keith Lee. Now look, the man is great in the ring. His mannerism, his charisma, it really connected. But me putting that song on before we went to the Evolve show, and then seeing him is really what got him over for her. So, really excited to see him here. Man, I want to see another Dijak versus Lee match. Just a lot of possibilities here. Lee versus Ricochet.
And Aleister Black. There's so many. Lars Sullivan. There are so many good matches.
Look at that segue,
for him to have here, and so it was cool to see him here, and we'll see how long it takes him to make it to the main roster. On the conference call after, I believe Triple H said, well, I'm going to give him, time to get acclimated, but I expect big things from this guy. He's awesome in the stuff he can do. Hearing that is always a good thing. And EC3 was also in the crowd at this moment. So I'm sure he'll be around the title picture with Ricochet and Aleister Black. So, Aleister Black, Lars Sullivan was why they were in the crowd, I guess. And that was an awesome match. I really enjoyed the story they were telling with, Black not being able to hit Black Mass and Lars just being dominant. Lars looked awesome. I'm not sure that people really realize how short amount of time he's been wrestling, and the fact that this was like one of the first homegrown NXT guys to really have a title shot, be in the title picture, so that's kind of fun, that's kind of cool, and he lived up to all the hype. He was great. I thought the end of the match where he hit the Black Mass and then Lars came back up to his knees and was screaming at him. Just well done. Made Black look like a beast, and it made Lars look like even more of a monster.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, I wouldn't say that Lars or Black are my favorite NXT competitors, but this was a really good performance. And I thought that Lars, that's that time when he, was on his knees and screaming again and got another Black Mass, and that was a really cool moment. So good on both of them. But I was just kind of waiting for this match. Gargano, Chicago Street Fight, Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. Man, this was just oof. This was really a street fight. They had a couple of spots with some dives and things like that, but this was really pretty intense from the get-go. It's amazing what they did here, and it's Johnny was talking about, and Candice has been talking about, he's becoming a different person, he's almost becoming what he hates. And he should win the match here. The referee doesn't see it. I mean, whatever, I get it. Then another referee comes out. Because it's weird, because at that point they were trying to get, Johnny to leave. Why were they trying to get him to stop if a referee hadn't called it?
Well, because it was just too much.
Okay. All right, I get it. But bring a fucking referee with you, Carino. You want this to end? Make another referee come out and call the fucking match. Please make me understand that.
That's not what happened.
Six dudes run out to stop Johnny from doing this.
What happened was Tommaso Ciampa hits a devastating DDT while handcuffed onto the exposed wood. And it was also funny because we were at the Evolve show and they took apart the ring. And
I was like, hey, Gabe.
How differently the ring was not built and looked. So, that was interesting. But, yeah, devastating DDT. Gargano was out. Ciampa gets the win. Just, this is what needed to happen here. This is, not even close to the end of this. How they are going to end this, I'm not really sure, because they just killed each other, and it was a lot of fun. It was an awesome main event. It was awesome story, and I can't wait to see where they go from here.
I was so, like, if those people purport to be Gargano's friends and they didn't want him to go further, if you're his friend, you know what you know? That he's not going to stop until he wins. So bring a fucking referee. Like, this is...
Try to talk some sense into him, you know? Try to just tell him it's enough. He's had enough. Leave him, you know? Just pin him. You know, that's all he had to do was attempt a pinfall. And maybe they would have got a ref. But he didn't go for that pinfall. Instead, he just tried to, you know, really, really end Tommaso Ciampa. And, you know, it came back to bite him a little bit.
I hate you. I hate Tommaso Ciampa. I can't. And the only thing that I agree with at the end of the show was the crowd chanting, F you, Ciampa. F you, Ciampa. Because
Great stuff.
F you, Ciampa. Like, I hate that dude. Like, this is not me, like, getting into it, you know, and trying to be funny. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I want him to lose.
When Johnny wins in the end, and he's the last man standing or whatever it is, you know, that's going to really, really be something. So,
Ciampa's on his feet or something.
Continues. Shit. You know, and it's funny that, you know, the last two takeovers, Johnny and Tommaso have been the main event. So that's saying something about their story, saying something about how good this has been. That, you know, this is the main event.
All right.
So Money in the Bank.
We'll do this quickly.
You know, it's a thing. It'll happen. Somebody will grab a briefcase, and there'll be Mr. Money in the Bank.
All right, so let's just do this because we're basically like hours away from the event, right? I think most of the undercard is generally unimportant. So let's just make a prediction for women's, men's, and then the championship between.
We might as well just run through them quickly. We'll make predictions.
All right. Tag team champions, Bludgeon Brothers versus the Good Brothers.
Clearly,
Kickoff.
Good Brothers have no chance.
Brian versus Big Cass.
Hopefully Brian gets the win to set up a main event spot.
I'm looking for Brian here, and I agree with your Bludgeon Brothers.
SummerSlam, Brian AJ.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah, who cares?
Sami Zayn. Seth Rollins versus Elias for the title.
I mean, it would be cool if Elias wins, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, because, I mean, also, I just think it'd be cool for Elias, but then, like, what do you do with Rollins? He's been a good champion. I'd keep it on him longer.
Well, I mean, that's where you hope that the title comes back to Raw, and that, you know, Rollins can actually be involved in some things.
I think Rollins holds on till maybe Ambrose comes back, and he's like, yo, bro.
Oh, God.
What's up with that title? I'm crazy.
Yeah, sure.
Look at me. I just picture him like I just picture.
I wonder how he comes back. Hopefully, it's not in jeans and a tank top because he needs a freshened up character.
He's gonna be in jeans and a tank top, and he's gonna be carrying
this is such
the cushion.
Time for him to change it up.
He's gonna have the cushion from the couch. He's gonna be like, guys, remember me? And he's gonna rip the cushion, the tag off the couch, and be like, I ripped the tag off, and it said, please do not remove. Like, he's just gonna probably continue that same stuff. I hope not, but I think I'm going to be right. So I'll go with Rollins. Carmella, Asuka?
I mean, I'm expecting outside interference, but hopefully Asuka just wins.
Any chance the first women's Money in the Bank winner returns to interfere?
Who was the first?
James Ellsworth. The big hog?
No.
All right. Reign. So I'm gonna go with Carmella because I'm hoping Ellsworth runs in. Roman Reigns versus Jinder. I don't know if there's a match that I could care about less than the entire world.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, have fun.
Nia Jax defending her championship, the Raw Women's Championship against Ronda Rousey.
This should be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if we get the Rousey win yet, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. So, you know, that's fun.
Then the women's match is Lana versus Natalia versus Alexa versus Charlotte versus Ember versus Becky versus Naomi versus Sasha Banks.
I mean, Ember is somebody that should win this and hold on to it for a little bit. Sasha always could, but I don't think she will. And Charlotte always could, but again, I'm not sure she really needs that. So I'm going to go with Ember Moon, and she wins and holds on to it for a little bit.
I think I've been saying this for a while in matches, but I think that Becky needs something, and I think she's a good wrestler, and I don't understand what's going on. I'd give her the win here. All right. And then we have the men's ladder match, which is Samoa Joe versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Roode versus Braun Strowman versus The Miz versus Rusev versus Finn Balor, and then one of the New Day. I think it's going to be Kofi.
I thought they announced that it was Biggie, but
did they? Sorry.
Braun winning just makes the most sense to me. Yeah, maybe he doesn't need it, but it allows you to really have him just call out Brock, and maybe he does it in a way that gets the win. You know, maybe we get something like The Miz winning, and like he capitalizes at some point when Brock is down. I don't know, but somebody has to win and take this title off of Brock sooner than later. So. Hopefully it's somebody from Raw. Hopefully somebody that wins the title in the next month.
So I'm going to go... Oh, this is tough. I just don't see Braun. I'm going to go with The Miz.
Have fun.
Could be.
It wouldn't be a bad choice. And
what if Miz...
There's the Weasel storyline around there that he can always cash in, at the opportune time.
Because, well, that's interesting. Because I have a thought, but you could set up, man, if Miz, because Miz could win it. You think that this is going to be the main event, or is
Probably.
the last man standing match going to be the main event? Because I think if the last man standing match is the main event, do you have Shinsuke win and then it's a last man standing match and then Miz runs in and just hits skull crushing finale?
Why do that on Shinsuke when he's the heel? But,
all right,
it could go either way, or we get Bryan AJ at SummerSlam and Miz passes in on Bryan, something like that.
Oh, that would be unbelievable. All right, and then who do you think takes it? Do you think it's Styles or Knock?
No, I think AJ wins it. I wouldn't mind seeing Nakamura win, but they've ruined Nakamura, and they've ruined Nakamura AJ with this terrible low blow feud that they've been having here. So I just kind of want it to be over one way or the other, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with low blows. I actually think Knock wins this one. I don't know why, but I just feel like if he doesn't win, he's got no credibility going forward. What is this, like his ninth title shot?
I don't know.
I'm exaggerating, but it's been a good
in
number that they've been wrestling in a row, so I think he's got to win it. All right, you said there was a little bit of New Japan stuff before we head on out of here?
No, nothing that really matters.
All right, so I know that G1's going to be starting up soon, and then you also, I know Elgin dropped the belt recently. But I think that's all we have to fit in today. We're going to go... get ready for Money in the Bank. I just want to remind you guys that you guys can reach us on Twitter at Running Wild Podcast, Running Wild LWOS. You can also email us directly at runningwildpodcast@gmail.com. Send us any questions, trivia, or anything like that. We'd love to read that on air. You make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. We're available on iTunes and SoundCloud, and we're brought to you in partnership with pwponnings.com, ROHworld.com, and lastwordonprowrestling.com. You can follow me directly at Rich_Laconi, where I've been tweeting a lot about Lucha stuff, and my adoptive team of Mexico getting a huge victory today in the beginning of the group stages. So if you're interested in that stuff, follow me there. All that out of the way, just want to remind you guys that you listen to the podcast that is just too sweet.
For Rich Rich and Runz. This is the host of Ring of Honor Wrestling, Ian Riccaboni, signing off. Be sure to join them next week for another episode of the Running Wild podcast.